Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, so Venerable Sangha, Siales and the Dhamma friends. So today we'll resume our discussion on the Kusalattika Pat, and in the last week we were discussing the analytical states. We started to discuss them in detail now. After learning the commons, we started to learn them in detail. So, what we did was that from the root condition we started, right? So in the root condition, we discussed the first one, kusalo kusalasa, and we discussed the analytical states here, the conditioning state and the conditioned states, and especially with reference to the instrumental case phrase. And we discuss about some of the paccayas, how they become completely and how they come appropriately. So now we move into the second one, which is kusalo abhyakatassa. So for the kusalo dhammo, it's the same set of phenomena which comes, right? But we have these things. The wholesome dhamma serves as a condition for the rooted mind-produced matter, right? That we need to know. The rooted mind-produced matter in the fivefold existing during the arising occasion, right? So during the lifetime. So the conditioned phenomena are the rooted mind-produced matter, right? So that's why these two are when it comes to explaining the wholesome dhammas, the conditioning dhammas, the rooted matter, the rooted mind-produced matter are connected, right? So this includes 21 wholesome consciousness and 31 mental factors, of which the two wholesome roots, and they support the rooted mind-produced matter, right? Yeah. So the other explanation, like the two rooted consciousness moments and three rooted consciousness moments, are given here. So now we move into the instrumental case phrase. So then here the forces are mentioned here. The forces of root, predominance, connaissance, dependence, faculty, path, disassociation, presence, and non-disappearance in the specific force of root condition obtained completely and appropriately from the 9 conditioning forces. Altogether, there are 9 conditioning forces. So what we need to really know here is that we know the connaissance large group and the root condition, they always come, right? Because the root condition is the base condition here. In the connaissance large conditions, they always apply in all the situations, right? And so the other conditions which comes from the connaissance medium group is the disassociation one, because the relationship is here with the roots supporting the mind-produced matter. So that's why we have the disassociation here. And because of the hetu, because of the amoha, there is predominance, faculty, and path, right? From the small group, these three constant small group, these three conditions come, right? So the application of completely and appropriately. So how does it come? Right? So it's quite easy to figure it out here. So the predominance, faculty, and path, they come as appropriately, right? And as usual, the connaissance large conditions, they always come as completely. So in addition to the connaissance large conditions, the dissociation, right? The dissociation one is also coming here as completely. And why it is completely? Why does it come as completely? Because in this case, the nama, the nama, the mental phenomena, they are supporting the rupa in this case, right? Because it is kusalo abhyakatas, wholesome supporting the indeterminate. So because of this relationship, this disassociation, it comes as completely, right? Because when the roots are supporting the mind-born materiality, the supporting happens fully, right? All the conditioning dhammas support the conditioned dhamma in full, in disassociation. Right. So now we move into the third one, which is kusalo abhyakatassa, right? Kusalo kusala abhyakatassa, which is wholesome to wholesome and indeterminate. So, so in the conditioning states here, right? So the wholesome dhammas, which serves as a condition for we have the associated aggregates and rooted mind produced matter, right? So we have these two parts, the associated aggregates and the rooted mind produced matter. And of course, remember when there is this abhyakata, when there is the mind-born materiality, so it always happens in the fivefold existence, right? So it was the same case in the previous one too. Here also it happens in the fivefold existence, right? So that we have to mention here. And then this includes the 21 wholesome consciousness, the 38 mental factors, of which the 2 wholesome roots, which are found into rooted consciousness moment, and the three wholesome roots, non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, which are found in the 3 rooted consciousness. The moments, I don't know what it means. There's a mistake, I think. Okay, so which supports the conditioning phenomena. So in the conditioned phenomena, we have the 38, the 21 wholesome consciousness, the 38 associated mental factors, and the rooted mind produced matter, both. So now we move into the instrumental case phrase, right? So how many are there? There are 8 conditioning forces in total. The forces of root, predominance, connaissance, dependence, faculty, path, presence, and non-disappearance result in the specific force of root condition obtained completely and appropriately from the 8 conditioning forces. Right? So there are only 8 here. Right. So now here, this is something special that we need to learn here. I mean, when it comes to the instrumental phrase, there is something special that we need to know here, right? So in this relationship of kusalo kusalabhyakatassa, I think I should write it in a separate, right? So here the relationship is kusalo kusalabhyakatassa, right? The wholesome supporting the wholesome and the indeterminate. So we know the kusala, it's the namadhamma, the mental aggregates. Here, the conditioned states, again, they are the namadhamma, and abhyakatassa, they are the rupa dhammas, right? So, so among these 8 conditions, right? So 8 conditions, you may have noticed that we have the connaissance large condition, and have the root, then we have the predominance, faculty, and path. So it means four from the four conditioning conditions from the connaissance large group, and 4 from the connaissance small group. So So only that, right? So which means there is no paccayas from the connaissance medium group, right? So, but we know when the kusala is supporting the kusala, we have the sampayutta paccaya, right? The sampayutta is there, the association is there. And when the kusala is supporting, the wholesome is supporting the indeterminate, we have the vippayutta, right? So in the previous two enumerations, right? In kusalo kusalasa, we learned that sampayutta was there. And in kusalo abhyakatasa, we learned that the vippayutta was there. But here in the kusalo abhyakatasa, both the sampayutta and the vippayutta paccayas, they are not taken here, right? So the reason is that, I mean, when these dhammas are really taking place, when these dhammas are really arising, then this relationship is there. But what is happening here is that what is taught here by the Buddha is that these two, Buddha is explaining this through the Kusalattika Paṭṭhāna, right? The kusala and the abhyakata, right? The conditioned states are kusala and abhyakata. So when you consider these two as a whole, right? When you take as a whole, then there is no, I mean, we cannot say that sampayutta is there because I mean, we cannot say sampayutta there because in the abhyakata, in the rupa, there is no sampayutta, right? We cannot say vippayutta because in the kusala, right? Here in the kusala conditioned state, the wholesome conditioned states, there is no vippayutta. So that's why the both of sampayutta and vippayutta are not taken here, right? So that's only the reason. Like so, so understand it in this way, right? So because in the future, I mean, in the next subchapter, we'll be learning about this, right? The paccayas are grouped. Not the paccayas. The enumerations are grouped based on this. No questions, it seems. Okay, so let's move into the next one, the fourth one, which is akusalo akusalasa. Right. So in the akusalo akusalasa, the subject phrase, the conditioning states are the unwholesome dhamma serves as a condition for the 12 unwholesome consciousness and 27 mental factors, right? So, and the breakdown is given for each of the three types of unwholesome consciousness. For the greed-rooted consciousness, there are greed and delusion. These are the two types of root, right? For the hatred-rooted consciousnesses, there are there are two roots, hatred and delusion. And in the consciousness moment of delusion-rooted ones, there is only one. The delusion is there. So these are the conditioning phenomena, right? So to understand that these are separated, right? It's presented separately. And the conditioned phenomena in the dative case phrase are the 12 unwholesome consciousness along with the 27 associated mental factors, excluding the root of delusion, right? So this has to be excluded from the delusion-rooted consciousness, right? From the delusion-rooted pair. So they are obtained as conditioned phenomena. So in the instrumental case phrase, right? So how many paccayas are there, right? And so in total, there are 7. 7 paccayas are there, 7 conditioning forces are there. Forces of root, connaissance, mutuality, the dependence, association, presence, and non-disappearances result in the specific force of root condition obtained completely and separately. Right. for the conditioning phenomena, we already discussed that we have to set, like, for the two rooted, the greed rooted, the delusion rooted, so they have given here. I think there is an error here. Yeah, there is an error here. We have to remove the appropriately. Right. So yeah, we have to remove the term, the phrase appropriately from here, because it's not correct. This one has to be removed. Yeah. So what happens here is that the unwholesome dhammas, right, akusala supporting the akusala. So the two types of phenomena are nama supporting the nama, right? It occurs like that. So when it's taking place, the connaissance large conditions, they support completely. And because it's that relationship between nama and nama, the mental aggregates, the mutuality and the association comes. So, and it comes in full. So the term completely is also applicable with here. And again, the root condition, it's the base condition. So therefore it's applicable in completely. So fully, right? So then all the seven paccayas, they support completely. So what you have to note here is that in this case, we don't have the, because the relationship is between the unwholesome dhammas, we don't have the three other conditions from the connaissance small group, right? What are those three other conditions? The the predominance, the predominance is not there, right? Predominance is not there. And then we don't have the connaissance faculty, right? Is not there. And then we don't have the path, right? We don't have there. So why did these three paccayas become common with root? It's only because of one dhamma, that is amoha, right? Because of amoha, non-delusion, the root condition become common with these three types of paccayas. So because now this is the unwholesome supporting the unwholesome, we don't have the amoha too, right? It's not there. So that's why we don't have any other condition from the connaissance small group, right? So all the paccayas which comes here, they come as completely. Right. Now we move into the fifth one, which is akusalo abhyakatassa, unwholesome supporting to indeterminate. So how does it happen? Unwholesome to indeterminate. The akusala dhamma. So what has done here is essentially is to connect the mind produced matter. right? The unwholesome Dhamma serves as a condition for mind-produced matter in the fivefold existence during arising occasion, and the three types of unwholesome consciousness and the roots are connected here, right? As in the previous one. And then in the conditioned state, there are these, we have this mind-produced matter, right? Created by unwholesome consciousness. So, in the instrumental phrase, there are 6 conditions in total. And again, here the appropriately has to be removed. There's an error here. So what are those conditions? The root, connaissance, dependence, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance, right? So totaling to 6. So it should only comes as completely. So the root, connaissance, last condition, and the dissociation, right? So dissociation, it comes here as full, completely. Okay, so now we move into the 6th one, akusalo akusalabhyakatassa, unwholesome to unwholesome and indeterminate. So this one is very straightforward. This is the method for this one. It's similar to the kusalo kusalabhyakatassa, right? Wholesome to wholesome and indeterminate. The method is the same method, right? Only the dhammas change here. So what comes here is the unwholesome dhamma serves as a condition for the associated aggregates and the mind produced matter. We have it there. And here in the conditioned states, we have the 12 unwholesome consciousness along with 27 mental factors, excluding the root of delusion from the delusion rooted pair, and mind produced matter created by unwholesome consciousness, right? So that's what comes here. Now we come to the number 7, right? Which is abhyakato abhyakatassa, indeterminate to indeterminate. So indeterminate to indeterminate, we know that there are two types at the period of life continuity, and later we have at the moment of conception. So how it is presented here, right? The indeterminate Dhamma serves as a condition for the associated aggregates for the fourfold existence, and for the associated aggregates and the mind-produced matter for the fivefold existence. This support for the 21 rooted resultant consciousness, 17 rooted functional consciousness, and 38 mental factors, right? So this we have to understand very clearly. Here, the indeterminate Dhamma serves as a condition for the associated aggregates for the fourfold existence, right? In the formless plane, because the relationship we have for the abhyakato abhyakatassa is only for the nama and nama, right? Because there are no rupas. And for the fivefold existence, we have the associated aggregates and the mind-produced matter both, right? And then the breakdown is given for 21 rooted resultant consciousness, 17 rooted functional consciousnesses, and the 38 mental factors, right? And then given the 3 beautiful roots are found in 2 rooted consciousness moment, and 3 beautiful root are found in 3 rooted consciousness moment, right? And for the conditioned state, it's given as the 21 rooted resultant consciousness, 17 rooted functional consciousnesses, 38 mental factors, and mind-produced matter, right? So that's what the condition states. Right. Then we have the conditioning. We have the conditioning forces here. The forces of root, predominance, connaissance, mutuality, dependence, resultant, faculty, path, association, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance result in the specific force of root condition obtained, we have the completely and appropriately from the 12 conditioning forces, right? So in summary, it's the root connaissance large conditions and all of the connaissance medium conditions. We have the predominance, and then we have the faculty and the path. So we need to really break down to understand it. So the predominance condition, which is presented here, right? The predominance, it invariably applies to the 4 types of fruit consciousness, right? It's always there. It's the Abhyakata. And also the sublime functional consciousnesses, the Mahagata Kriya Chittas. And it applies variably in the Kamavachara Kriya Chitta. Sometimes it's there and sometimes not there, right? So this we have to consider, right? And the conditioning phenomena, we should consider it's only for the rooted resultant consciousness, Sahajāta Vipaka Chittas, and the functional consciousnesses. Again, they should be the rooted ones, right? And the non-rooted ones are not applicable here. So in the list of conditions, the conditions from the great connaissance subgroup are applied completely. For the connaissance from the small connaissance subgroup are applied appropriately. Yeah. Among the resultant consciousness, the predominance condition apply to the supramundane resultant consciousnesses. And also this is there when there is the investigation predominance is applicable. And when it's not there, then the predominance does not become a common with the hetu, right? At this resultant consciousness moment. And for the conditions in the middle subgroup, again, it's used appropriately because the mutuality and the association are applied only when mental phenomena are conditions of other mental phenomena, right? Because like there are two types, right? The 2 types of condition states, the nama and the rupa. So only the nama and nama relationship, we can say that the mutuality and the association are there. And it's the same case with the dissociation condition, which is applicable only when the consciousness originated material, the mind-born materiality is there. And the resultant condition, it's applied only in the resultant consciousness. Now, we know that there are two types of consciousness, which are the resultant consciousness and the functional consciousness. So in the functional consciousnesses, this resultant condition is not there. Okay, either everything is very clear or not clear at all. No questions.
那看来大家对于上述讲的内容都比较清楚，所以没有疑问。
Okay, so we move to the next one. At the moment of conception, right? So this is the second part of the indeterminate to indeterminate. So Abhyakato, the subject phrase, the indeterminate Dhamma serves as a condition for the associated aggregates and for the associated aggregates and karma produce matter. So this part, right, the associated aggregates, this is applicable for the fourfold existence, right? Fourfold existence. And this second part, the associated aggregates and the karma produce matter, this one is applied for the fivefold existence. So this support for the 17 rooted resultant consciousness and 35 mental factors. So only the 17 rooted resultant conditions consciousnesses are taken here. The 2 non-rooted resultant conditions, especially the patisandhi chittas, the conception, they are not taken here, right? So the ahetuka patisandhi, both of these consciousness are not taken here. And we have the 35 mental factors, excluding the 3 abstinences. And then we have the breakdown of the roots, right? The 2 beautiful roots found in 2 rooted consciousness moments, and 3 beautiful roots which are found in 3 rooted consciousness moment. So these are the conditioning phenomena. And then we have the conditioned phenomena, the 17 rooted resultant consciousnesses, the 35 associated mental factors, and karma produced matter at the moment of conception. So now we move into the instrumental case phrase. How many conditions are there in total? We have 11 conditioning forces, right? The forces of root, connaissance, mutuality, dependence, result, faculty, path, association, disassociation, presence, and non-disappearance result in the specific force of root condition obtained completely and appropriately. So in summary, the root, the connaissance large conditions, and all of the connaissance medium conditions, faculty and path, right? So those are the conditions which we find here, right? There are 12 in total. I'm sorry, 11 in total. And the predominance condition, it does not appear here because the predominance condition is not applicable in the rebirth linking moment, right? And also the vipaka paccaya, right? From the connaissance medium conditions, there are all of them are there, but we have the mutuality, dependence, and then we have the association. Is that all? Yeah, we have the disassociation too. I'm sorry, dependence is not there, right? This one is wrong. Dependence, not that, it's the resultant. Resultant is there. So because in this here, we have the relationship sometimes as nama to nama and rupa. And some we have nama to nama only. So because of this, the mutuality, association, and disassociation, these 3, they become the relationship comes as is shown as appropriately, right? And for the resultant, it comes completely, right? Because it's the conception moment of conception. Either the 2 roots or the 3 roots, they support their associated aggregates and the karma produced matter with the resultant condition, and it happens completely. Yeah. So the other conditions, the other conditions, they come as appropriately, right? So faculty condition and the path condition, we know it comes as appropriately. Yeah. So it's like that. Right. So there is one more thing that we need to understand here is that now this, especially with this association, disassociation, and mutuality, I mentioned they come as appropriately, right? But this is stated, this term appropriately is stated for these 3 conditions in general, right? It's stated in general. I'm sorry, not the disassociation, the mutuality and the mutuality and mutuality and disassociation is given in general. What I mean as general is that in this nama and rupa, right, we know when there is mutuality, there is association, right? So in this relationship, the mutuality and association cannot be mentioned, right? Because we have to consider them as both, right? But here we can take it in full, mutuality and association, right? If you take individual cases and individual scenarios, sometimes certain pachas can be, which has mentioned as uh, appropriately, can be taken as completely, right? So in this nama and nama relationship, in the fourfold existence, then it takes place completely, right? Because the conditioning states and the condition states and the conditioning forces are given in general. We can, this term appropriately is used, right? But if you dig into the specific cases, then some of them might be different. Okay, so now we moving to the next condition. Right, we have done with all 7 enumeration for the root condition, and now the second one, which we'll be discussing, the jhana condition. We have this table here, which is a summary, right? So starting from the kusalo kusalasa. Now in this, moving forward, there is not much to discuss in these individual cases, because we have discussed the theory on completely and appropriately, so it's very easy to understand, right? Okay, so the first one, the kusalo kusalasa, wholesome to wholesome, the kusalo dhamma, the subject phrase. So we have the 5 jhana factors, right? The conditioning phenomena, the jhana factors, namely initial thought, sustained thought, joy, feeling, and one-pointedness that arise in the mind moments of 21 wholesome consciousness and 38 mental factors, which support these associated aggregates, right? Straightforward. And then we have the conditioned phenomena of 21 wholesome consciousness and 38 mental factors. Then we have the instrumental case phrase, the conditioning force. There are 9 in total. So the jhana, along with the forces of connaissance, mutuality, dependence, faculty, path, association, presence, and non-disappearance, serves as the conditioning forces, right? There are total 9. So due to the presence of indriya and magga, it is appropriately, right? Magga and indriya, and the remaining 7, they comes as completely. So now we move into the second one, kusalo abhyakatassa, wholesome to indeterminate. We have the subject phrase here. In terms of the paccayadhammas, there is nothing has changed here, because it's a 5 jhana factors, and the conditioned states are connected here, as which support the mind produced matter, and this takes place in the 5-fold existence. And then we have the conditioned states. It's the conditioned phenomena, the mind produced matter, which arise from the wholesome consciousness. It's very easy. And the in the instrumental case phrase, we have 8 total forces. So from Sahajāta, the connaissance, dependence, faculty, path. Then we have the disassociation, of course, because of the rupa dhammas, and then we have the presence and non-disappearance, right? And here also the indriya and the magga, right? These 2 conditions are there appropriately. So moving into the third one, kusalo kusalabhyakatassa. So here it's also again very straightforward, right? We have the conditioning dhammas, the 5 jhana factors. And then we have the associated aggregates and the mind produced matter, because wholesome to wholesome and indeterminate. And we have the fivefold existence as well. And then we have the conditioned states, which are the 21 wholesome consciousness, 31 mental factors, 38 mental factors, and the mind produced matter arising from the wholesome consciousness mind moments in the fivefold existence. And the conditioning forces, again, it's the same. There are not the same really. There are 7 total forces. So which only comes from the Sahajāta, the connaissance large group and the connaissance small group, right? The connaissance, dependence, faculty, path, presence, and non-disappearance serves as the conditioning forces. And it's, I think that part is missing, right? So it comes as appropriately and completely, right? So the appropriately part is applicable for the Indriya and Magga, right? The rest, 5 of them, they come as the as completely. So here also, because of in the condition states that there are mentality and the materiality, nama and rupa both, we don't have the other the connaissance medium group, right? The pachas from the connaissance medium group are not there. Okay, so we move into the fourth one. Akusalo akusalasa, unwholesome to the unwholesome. So we have the five types of five jhana factors that arise in the moments of 12 unwholesome consciousness and 27 mental factors which support the associated aggregates. And then we have the conditioned states, the conditioned phenomena, the associated aggregates that arise in the moments of 12 unwholesome consciousness and 27 mental factors. And the jhana paccayana, there are 9 forces in total. So what are those 9? We have the connaissance, mutuality, dependence, faculty is there, right? Even though it's unwholesome, the faculty is there because certain things, certain conditioning states such as the feeling, right? Feeling one-pointedness, they become faculties. And with ekaggata, it becomes common with magga too, right? Is that all? Yeah. Then we have the sampayutta, presence, association, presence, and non-disappearance. So there are 9 forces in total. Then we move into the fifth one. Now it's very easy, right? Nothing much discussed. We know already. For the akusalo abhyakatassa, we have the 5 jhana factors which support the mind-produced matter. I'm sorry. Yeah, mind-produced matter, the fivefold existence, right? And the conditioned phenomena, we have the mind-produced matter arising from the unwholesome consciousnesses. Yes. So Sister Cheng has asked a question. Dear Bante, for Magga, Vitakka 2 on top of Ekaggata. Yes. Vitakka is Samma Sankappa. Correct. Yeah. Then for the conditioning forces, the jhana along with the forces of connaissance, dependence, faculty, path, disassociation, presence, and non-disappearance, right? So altogether there are 8 total forces. Okay, so we move into the next one. Kusalo kusalabhyakatassa, unwholesome to unwholesome and indeterminate. So it's very easy. we have the 5 jhana factors, and then which it supports to the mind-produced matter. It should be added, right? Yeah. The other thing has to be added here. You have to add here the associated aggregates and the mind-produced matter, right? In the fivefold existence, and then the in the condition states we have the this is also wrong, right? The associated aggregates right? The associated aggregates also need to be added, right? And the 27 mental factors. I'm sorry, associated aggregates and the mind-produced matter arising from 12 unwholesome consciousnesses and the 27 mental factors. And then we have the instrumental case phrase. There are 7 in total, right? 4 from the connaissance large group, the connaissance, dependence, faculty, path, presence, non-disappearance. How many have? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And together with jhana. So there are 7. Okay, so now we move into the 7th one, which is the abhyakato abhyakatasa, indeterminate to indeterminate. So again, we have 2 parts here, the period of life continuity, and then we have the at the moment of conception. So the conditioning states, the conditioning phenomena, the 5 jhana factors we have, 1 point that arise in the mind moments of 26 resultant consciousness, right? So because it's a jhana paccaya, it's applicable in 26 resultant consciousness, excluding the 10 types of sense consciousness, right? The dipanta vijnana, it's removed. And the 21 functional consciousnesses, it's there. The 38 mental factors which support the associated aggregates and mind-produced matter. So when you have this statement, you have to understand associated aggregates and this one, associated aggregates and mind-produced matter. This is for the fourfold existence, and this one is for the fivefold existence. Then we come to the condition states, the condition phenomena of 26 resultant consciousnesses, excluding the 10 type of sense consciousness, the 21 functional consciousnesses, and the 38 mental factors, and the mind-produced matter, right? For the forces, the conditioning forces, how many are there? There are 11, right? So the jhana, along with the forces of connaissance, mutuality, dependence, resultant, faculty, path, association, dissociation, presence, and non-disappearance. Right. So altogether there are 11, and so with the connaissance grade group, all the paccayas becomes as completely, and the remaining forces of faculty, they comes forces of faculty, path, and the connaissance middle group, they come as appropriately. And then we move into the at the moment of conception, right? In the subject phrase, we have the 5 jhana factors, and we have the term at the moment of conception, which support the associated aggregates and karma produced matter. So here also we have to take the fourfold existence and the fivefold existence. And in the dative case, we have the condition phenomena of 19 resultant consciousnesses, 35 mental factors, and karma produced matter. And then we have the instrumental phrase, we have the conditioning forces of connaissance, mutuality, dependence, faculty, path, association, disassociation, presence, and non-disappearance. Right? So there are 11. So the jhana conditioning force, the resultant conditioning force, and the four connaissance main group, they are taken as completely, and the remaining three in the medium connaissance group, except for the resultant consciousness, they are taken as appropriately. Not only these, we have the faculty, the path, yes, these two as appropriately too. Okay, so that's what we prepared for this week, really, in the previous week, really. So from the next week, we'll be discussing the other paccayas. So like this, we'll be discussing for all the 15 paccayas from the Sahajāta group. Next week, we'll do that. And after that, maybe after in a couple of weeks, then we will be moving into the next group of paccayas, right? Now remember, we are still in the, okay, let me show you. All right, so we are still, right? We said that there are 9 groups, sorry, 8 conditions and 9 groups. So we are still in this group, right? We are still in this group discussing the Vibhanga, what do you call the Vibhanga? The investigation chapter, not the investigate, yeah, investigation chapter. We are discussing the Pali and also the analytical states for them, right? So after completing the Sahajāta, we'll be moving into the other groups. But the good thing about the other groups is that like the Sahajāta group, it's not complicated as the Sahajāta group, and also it's not long too, right? This except for Arammana, the others, I believe, yes, they don't have many paccayas, and also not very long. Okay, so do we have any questions?
好，大家还有什么问题吗？
我有一个问题，顶礼那个班代哈，那个我想问看看这个可不可以有一个例子，譬如说我们现在在看这些圆，那么有些是它有时候适当的时候，有些是完全，所以呢，像举这个禅那圆里面的。当根道缘是适当。
Bring Dhamma. So with these merits, we share the merits with the deities and with the deceased relatives, and make a wish that this Dhamma will support us to the practice of Nibbana.
愿我们把一切，分享佛法的功德、听闻佛法的功德、翻译的功德、提问的功德等等一切的功德，回向给一切的诸天，回向给过往生的亲戚们，回向给我们自身。那希望这些善缘的力量都能够支持我们早日证得涅槃。
Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu mang parang. Idammi ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Idammi ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Idammi ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhita huntu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamu satan samagamu hotu yava nibbana pattiya yang pattam kusalang tassa anubhavena panino sabbe saddhamma rajassa nyatva dhammang sukhavahang Papunantu visuddhaya sukaya patipattiya asoka manupayasang nibbana sukha muttamang chirang titthatu saddhammo dhamme hontu sagarva sabbepi satta kalena සම්මාදේවෝ පවස්සතු යථාරක්කින්සු පෝරානා සුරාජානු තතේවිමං රාජාරක්කතු ධම්මේන අත්තනෝව පජං පජං ඉමාය ධම්මානු ධම්ම පටිපත්තියා බුද්ධං පූජේමි ඉමාය ධම්මානු ධම්ම පටිපත්තියා ධම්මං පූජේමි ඉමාය ධම්මානු ධම්ම පටිපත්තියා සංඝං පූජේමි අද්ධායිමාය පටිපත්තියා ජාති ජරා ව්‍යාධි මරණම් හා පරිමුච්චෙස්සාමි ඉදම්මේ පුඤ්ඤං ආසවක්ඛයා වහං හෝතු ඉදම්මේ පුඤ්ඤං නිබ්බානස්ස පච්චයෝ හෝතු මම පුඤ්ඤ භාගං සබ්බ සත්තානං භාජේමි තේ සම්බේ මේ සමං පුඤ්ඤ භාගං ලභන්තු බුද්ධ ශාසනං චිරං තිට්ඨතු බුද්ධ ශාසනං චිරං තිට්ඨතු බුද්ධ ශාසනං චිරං තිට්ඨතු සාදු සාදු සාදු
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for this teaching. Sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, thank you for the
Sadhu,
translation.
sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Bante.